Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to explore three foundational elements of the United States government: the US Constitution, the concept of federalism, and the role of the presidency. These elements are crucial to understanding how the American political system operates. So without further ado, let's dive right in. First up is the US Constitution, the supreme law of the land. It lays the groundwork for how the government functions, how power is distributed, and how citizens' rights are protected. So let's break down its key components. The Constitution begins with a preamble that outlines the purpose of the document. And it starts with the iconic words, "We the people," emphasizing that the government derives its power from the consent of the governed. The preamble lists objectives like establishing justice, ensuring domestic tranquility, and securing the blessings of liberty. The Constitution is divided into 7 articles, each addressing different aspects of the federal government. And Article 1 establishes the legislative branch, which consists of Congress divided into Senate and the House of Representatives. Congress is responsible for making laws, and Article 1 details its powers, such as regulating commerce, declaring war, and taxing. Article 2 sets up the executive branch headed by the President. It outlines the President's powers, such as serving as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, conducting foreign policy, and ensuring laws are faithfully executed. Article 3 creates the judicial branch, including the Supreme Court and other inferior courts. It defines the powers of the judiciary and the process for dealing with cases involving federal law and disputes between states. And the Articles 4 to 7 cover the relationships between the states, the amendment process, and the ratification of the Constitution. Article 4 addresses state powers and responsibilities. Article 5 outlines how amendments can be made, and Article 6 establishes the Constitution as the supreme law of the land. And Article 7 details the process for ratification. The Constitution has been amended 27 times to address changes in society and in government. The first 10 amendments, known as the Bill of Rights, guarantee fundamental freedoms like speech, religion, and the press. Subsequent amendments have expanded civil rights and addressed issues like voting rights and presidential term limits. But next, let's talk about federalism. That's a core principle of the US Constitution. Federalism is the division of power between the national government and the state governments. And I'm trying to explain how that works. Some powers are shared between the federal and the state governments. For example, both can levy taxes, create laws, and administer justice. And this overlap ensures that multiple levels of government can address issues that affect people's lives. Enumerated powers are powers specifically granted to the federal government by the Constitution. For instance, only the federal government can print money, regulate interstate commerce, and conduct foreign affairs. Reserved powers are powers not explicitly granted to the federal government or prohibited to the states. According to the 10th Amendment, these powers are reserved for the states. And this includes regulating education, conducting elections, and managing local law enforcement. And concurrent powers are powers held by both the federal and the state governments. Examples include the ability to tax, to build infrastructure, and to enforce laws. Article 6 of the Constitution contains the Supremacy Clause, which asserts that federal law takes precedence over state law. And this means that if there's a conflict between federal and state law, federal law prevails. And finally, let's explore the role of the presidency. The president is a key figure in the executive branch and has several important responsibilities. As I said earlier, the president serves as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, giving them authority over military decisions and operations. The president is responsible for shaping US foreign policy, negotiating treaties, and representing the country in international affairs. However, treaties must be ratified by the Senate. As chief executive, the president is responsible for enforcing federal laws, issuing executive orders, and overseeing the various federal agencies and departments. The president has a role in the legislative process, including proposing legislation, signing bills into law, and if necessary, vetoing bills passed by Congress. The president serves as the ceremonial leader of the country, representing the nation at official events and functions. While the president has significant powers, they are checked by the other branches of government. For example, the president's veto can be overridden by a 2/3 majority in Congress, and presidential appointments require Senate confirmation. So to sum up, the US Constitution establishes the framework for the federal government. Federalism divides power between national and state authorities, and the presidency plays a central role in executing laws and leading the country. Understanding these elements helps us appreciate the complexity and balance of the American political system. And you can already imagine that that's all for today's video. And if you enjoyed this overview of the US Constitution, federalism, and the presidency, make sure to hit that like button and to subscribe to our channel for more insights into political basics. And of course, feel free to leave your questions or comments below. I really would love to hear your thoughts. So thanks for watching and see you next time. The next video is right here in the end screen.